Thank you, Tara, and Brooke, and Zoe, and Lauren, and Sydney. Well done. Good to see you guys up here. Thank you for teaching us some new songs. Good stuff. Welcome, everybody. I'm glad that you're here today. Just a heads up, I know that from where you're seated, they seem like they're small, but there's some flowers over here that were given, donated to the church, hopefully to brighten your day a little bit. They came from a wedding yesterday that took place in our auditorium. It's the second event that's been held in our auditorium since March. It was the wedding of Mallory de Berardino and Joe Guerra. And it was supposed to have taken place June 20, but you know what happened. It was just a delightful day for me. Some of the old timers in the church will remember Stan and Verna Mensch. And Mallory reminded me when we were doing the premarital counseling stuff that the first time she came to the church was as a little toddler at the invitation of her neighbors, Stan and Verna Mensch. And somehow yesterday, though they weren't in the room, it seemed like they were in the room. And it was just a really cool experience for me to be part of that day. And they're happily married, and actually they might be coming through at the end of this thing because there's some things that were left in the auditorium that they need to take home with them. Anyway, congratulations to them, and enjoy the flowers, everybody. They're a gift to you. Last week we did a series of stories from people in the church family. We just call them God stories, and it's just things that have happened over the last few months, baptisms and answered prayer and cool things like that that we want you to know about, and we're going to continue on that just a little bit more today, just to catch you up on some things that have been happening. But one of the people that wanted to participate, not participate publicly on stage, but wanted to have a word with you, and that is a word of thanks. It comes from Kathy Ventura. When I talked with Kathy, a bunch of you guys know her pretty well. It seems like her life is like one of those kids' video games where you try to jump across the pond and up to the next level, and you keep jumping and you go up, and then you don't make the jump and you have to go back to the beginning, and then you start over and you jump and you fall, and it's just a constant series of jumps to the next level and what's next for her. And having known Kathy and her family for 20-some years now, her life is like that. And a bunch of you have shared in supporting her and encouraging her. But she says this by way of text to you. I'm not reading the whole thing, but just by way of text. I'm truly thankful for how God moves in my life and has been increasing my understanding about my future home in heaven and what He wants for me to do in this life. I want to say thank you to the church family because you have helped me see God and helped me move in my life through so many things, so many difficult issues, divorce and home and holding on to my house and my kids and my special needs grandkids and my job and the passing of my mother and brother recently. In His time, He has shown me His love and His care for growing through you and seeing how you guys trust Him. A lot of things have been blown up in my life, but I've learned to trust. He has given me a church family, undeniably the best family, to strengthen and pray in what have been some of the hardest days, holding me up and showing me through their confidence in Christ's word and promises and sacrifice that I am loved and can trust in Him no matter what is thrown at me. It's definitely a God thing, and I'm humbly thankful and truly blessed. I told her, I said, Kathy, if you can write like that, just keep writing like that, and we'll read it for you. It's just a whole bunch more but just really good stuff. And thank you for what you have done in her life. Thank you for the practical help, the financial help, the prayerful help, the coming alongside of her help, all of that you have done for her. And it continues. Life is still hard, but thank you for doing what you do to love her. And you are the God story in her life, and I'm grateful. Okay, that's one God story. The second one comes from my son Josh, and he is going to come tell you about a little trip that he made with a bunch of us out to Minnesota this summer. So Josh, if you'd come on up and tell a God story about where you went and what you did. Take your time, buddy. Oh, I missed it. You better explain that, Josh.
All right, here's my son Donovan, and he's off. And bam, right into the Red Lake River. Okay, does anyone know the state bird of Minnesota? It's actually the mosquito. And so our last night, after a tremendous week, we're gathered around the campfire trying to have this magical moment, one last night where we talk and debrief the week and stuff. And let's just say, no matter how close we got to the fire, no matter how much bug spray we put on, the mosquitoes won. So that experience lasted about 15 minutes, and we were out of there and back to the hotel for the night. So we were at Stable Days Youth Ranch in western Minnesota, right along the border with North Dakota. And it's a Christian ranch, pretty amazing outreach they do, where they rescue horses, and then they try to use those horses as a way to connect with kids in the community. So about 120 kids come to that ranch on a weekly basis, and they do a half hour of chores, a half hour of horse time, and then a half hour of getting to know God and being mentored by the people at the ranch. Pretty amazing. They do have an indoor arena, because you probably know it gets to like negative 78 over the winter months. So our group, we did a number of projects to try to improve the property and improve the experience of the kids who go through that program. We did a number of things where we built that rope swing that Donovan flew off of. And Donovan, I want to say, was the second or third participant, right? And we're still on a little shaky ground on whether that thing would work. So we did that. That was just a bonus for fun. But this fence line, massive fence line, we actually built that out of railroad ties and spent 2 or 3 days doing that. That's what the kids and I were able to participate in. We built a dock. Okay, so it's a 60-acre compound, if you will, with U-shaped. Okay, so the river on both sides. So that dock will be used for kayaks and canoes for the kids. Also built a chicken coop, a fence around the chicken coop, so they can, have the opportunity. The kids can have the opportunity to see chickens being raised. So that's a pretty cool thing. So that was a little bit of our experience. Now, how did we get there to East Grand Forks, Minnesota? Like every night I looked at my phone on Google Maps and I'm just like, where in the world am I? I never thought I would be in such an obscure place. We're talking like 2 hours from Winnipeg. And I think it would have been more normal for me to be in like southern Texas or the Dominican Republic, anywhere besides North Dakota, Minnesota. So here's how it worked. I went to a conference about 10 years ago. It was a Wild at Heart conference. Maybe you've heard of the book, Wild at Heart. So I read that book, was super inspired, went to the conference. It was at that conference I met the guy, Ben, who at the time, just a sales guy, right? But had this dream of doing this horse ranch. And so it was cool because I'd never met a dude from North Dakota before. And I don't know, I just thought, you meet people and that's that, right? I met a ton of people that weekend. Well, in getting to know Ben, he was responsible for the country of Canada for the sales for his company. And so he was coming to Toronto frequently, right? So I said, hey, one of these times we should connect. And so, one time led to several times a relationship developed. And over the years, as we got to know this ministry, right? This ministry was basically born during my time getting to know Ben. He was always on us, come to Minnesota. And so lo and behold, we did. It was an amazing God experience, amazing to be in that part of the country. And look, we're going back, right? So if you're interested, hopefully next summer we'll go back. But I'm reminded of a thing that my dad and I heard, that you are the same person you are today 5 years from now, except for the books that you read and the people you meet. So I can say, without a doubt, a book led to meeting someone, led to an awesome experience. So that's my God moment.
Thanks, Josh. Thanks for inviting me to go along. It was definitely a God trip and lots of fun, and I hope I can go back. The swing held me, so it can hold you too, and you can swing off into the river as well.